Well, we're back at it again, trying out more guns that have either been buffed or fixed with all the recent patches that have dropped for Battlefield 5. If you guys haven't checked out my two other videos where I talked about the buffs and bug fixes that have improved the performance to the two bolt action carbines that have made it to the medic class, you can check that out in the annotations above. But today we're jumping onto the recon class and checking out the bug fixes that made it to the boys AT rifle. This was to fix the APCR rounds that just weren't working when we first got this gun in Tides of War. This is meant to increase the damage against tanks, and given that this is the first rifle of its kind to make it to the recon class that does damage against tanks, this specialization is much needed for the class. When it comes to exactly how well this specialization improves the damage dealt against vehicles, well, I can say dealing against medium-sized tanks and enemy vehicles that are smaller is where the specialization is really going to shine. There's just not enough armor for these vehicles to handle what the APCR rounds can deal. Now, with that said, it's not like you're going to easily take out a medium-sized tank with one shot. You're still going to want to hit its weaker points, and it does help if the tank is distracted. But even if the tank has its full attention against you, as long as you're moving to different spots after each shot with the rifle, making it very difficult for that tank to pinpoint where you're at, you should very much easily be able to chip away at its armor and finish off the tank in a matter of no time. Other vehicles that are out there with much lighter armor than the medium-sized tanks will really have to watch out when taking damage from this rifle, because you won't have much time to react before your vehicle is engulfed with flames and has exploded. So overall, it's a useful specialization, but it does have its limitations, and that's when you find yourself battling against heavy tanks. I grinded a ton of 1 vs 1 battles where I was putting the boys AT rifle right up against the Tiger tank, and I was definitely struggling to get the Tiger tank down to even half health. When battling against the heavy tanks, you probably don't want to try to take them on by yourself, but you definitely want to use it as support for your teammates. So maybe help a teammate's tank who is battling enemy tank 1 vs 1, or maybe be support for some assault class or support players who are using their anti-tank gadgets to take them out. But again, if you're alone battling a heavy tank, it's going to be a bit of a struggle. Which is actually kind of surprising. After trying out the M28 Con Trombocino's fixed grenade launcher specialization that allowed you to do more damage against tanks, I actually feel like I was more confident I could take out a heavy tank with that grenade launcher than using the boys AT rifle after seeing the damage it was dealing against heavy tanks. Now, this could be to balance the difference of the ranges from the Trombocino's grenade launcher compared to the range of the boys AT rifle, where especially if you have the 0 specialization equipped, you could post up from some serious range and do some damage against those enemy tanks. But the Trombocino's grenade launcher is a much closer combat weapon, so you could see why the medic rifle's grenade launcher would do more damage value, hence the higher risk of the close quarter combat engagement with a tank, something you have the luxury of avoiding with the boys AT rifle, where you can do the very much sniper-like gameplay of posting up far back in the map to avoid all that close quarter combat engagement. There's also only a few grenades you can carry with the grenade launcher, but the boys AT rifle is stacked with rounds, so it's all just interesting to note, because from trying out both of these weapons, even though they are completely different guns and in completely different classes, they both have these interesting specializations that do more damage against tanks. And after experiencing both of them, I did feel more confident using the Trombocino's grenade launcher specialization to take out a heavy tank than using the boys AT rifle APCR rounds. But when it comes to specializations of this gun, you're definitely going to want to have the APCR rounds. As much as it might struggle against heavy tanks, it's going to be fun to use on any other vehicle that has less armor. And again, it's the one weapon for the recon class where you can really contribute against vehicles, so it's something you definitely want equipped. I still went with a variable zeroing specialization because I bet that will help against battling these heavy tanks. If you utilize the range of the gun and the amount of ammo it has, I bet you'll be able to slowly chip away at the heavy tank's armor, and it was probably the reason why I was having better experiences with the Trombocino's grenade launcher than using the boys AT rifle, as I probably was playing too aggressive and not maximizing the range that this gun offers. So I definitely went with the zeroing in specialization, and by default you had to choose the quick reload. And then when it came to the first two specializations you had to choose from, which I thought were probably the more difficult ones, either the recoil buffer or the slings and swivels, considering the only way you can really battle enemy players when moving around is by pulling out your pistol, since you can only aim down sights when you're posted up with this gun. So if you want to choose the slings and swivels, that is definitely an option. I still went with the recoil buffer, but out of all the choices, these two I think were the most difficult ones for me to choose. Overall though, I am glad that this finally got fixed. Feel free to let me know how you guys are enjoying the fixed APCR rounds and just anything overall with the Boys AT rifle. I imagine this is going to be a very loved and hated gun on the battlefield from here on out, but overall I've been definitely enjoying it, so I hope you guys are as well too. But that is it for you guys today. Again, I always appreciate you guys being here. I am Living, and I'll catch you guys again later.